signs are all around us. The rapid rate of change in our environments can be felt by our communities. Sea levels are expected to rise as much as a foot by 2050. Nonprofit Climate Central pictures the future of what cities could look like over time. These rising tides affect our homes, businesses, and have a devastating impact on our ecosystems. New Yorkers are standing up in ways you may not know, restoring what was once a thriving shoreline.
The gusting wind keeps increasing in force and frequency, and the rain's coming down so hard it feels like BBs on your skin.
Because of the flood waters, and what we are seeing is just total destruction.
The real test now, how to rebuild.
The general public thinks that New York Harbor is like pretty nasty and nothing is alive in there. But you spend a day out on the water like looking through stuff and you really get an idea of how much life there is and the potential that can come back.
New York City was once the oyster capital of the world.
On the menu, Malpec oysters.
At one point, containing half of the Earth's oyster population. Overfishing and pollution decimated the population. But one organization aims to reverse the trend.
We are monitoring some gabions today.
Boosting biodiversity one oyster at a time.
I'm setting up my gear, making sure that my oxygen tank is open. So if I press this button, the air comes from the oxygen tank.
So how many dives have you been on?
I've done 16 dives this year with the Oyster Project. In total, 67, 68 dives.
The Billion Oyster Project is a nonprofit restoration organization that is restoring oysters through education initiatives. Oysters are a keystone species because they're ecosystem engineers. Similar to how coral makes reefs in the south, we have oysters that make reefs up in the north here, which provide habitat for prey and then places to hunt for predators. So bringing oysters back into the harbor provides that structure which lets other marine life come back in.
Besides creating reefs for habitat restoration, an adult oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water a day, preventing harmful algal blooms and low oxygen levels called hypoxia.
Hypoxia typically occurs as the water warms up, there's less available dissolved oxygen for the animals to use. Our waste that runs into the harbor causes those algal blooms. And one of the things that oysters are really good at is sequestering that excess nitrogen and phosphorus and turning it into kind of a usable source for other things aside from microalgae.
The group drops gabions full of spat-on shell. Think baby oysters growing on the surface.
I help monitor the oyster growth in different sites because it has spat, which are these baby oysters basically.
On average, how many of those are on the shelf?
Sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 19. Oh, wow. It's usually I'd say around 6-ish.
Over 75 million live oysters have been restored throughout 16 reef sites across the boroughs. These dropped oyster cages help promote a natural barrier in preventing coastal storm damage.
The reason that we dropped the cages the way we did, it's going to be there for wave attenuation, so it will kind of help absorb that wave energy. You get rid of those reefs, you see crazy storms and just crazy amount of wave energy hitting the shore that really shouldn't be. And that's why things like Superstorm Sandy happen.
Oysters, crabs, and coral rely on certain chemical compounds naturally found in water. When you take those out, it leads to corroding marine life. Carbon dioxide emissions are increasing, which strip away those usable compounds. It also increases the acidity of our oceans. One researcher found a way to reverse ocean acidification using a key native resource.
We know that all photosynthetic organisms, including plants, take up CO2. High rates of photosynthesis by different organisms.